Welcome back to the 5th Annual Fannie Awards. Hello, it's me, it's Andrew Fantasia. Welcome back to Day 2 of the 5th Annual Fannie Awards, giving out all the movie awards for 2019. It's like the Oscars, but better, because it involves me and it involves you. And by involves, I mean you watch it, which really gives you the same amount of involvement as the Oscars. But I am going to refer to you by name. Brian and Candace. See? I know some of you. Let's cut right to the chase. It's time to talk about my number 9, my 9th favorite film of the year. What was it? I'm not going to tell you. I'm just kidding. Of course I'm going to tell you. My 9th favorite film of the year harkens back to the summer days where we took part in a bloodbath that frankly was entertaining as all hell. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you my 9th favorite film, Ready or Not. I like to plan my movie watching in advance because I'm a weirdo that way. Every January I take to the net and I look up everything that's coming out in the following year and I make a note of what I want to see and then I try to go see it. But every once in a while, this happens all the time, you get movies that kind of creep up on you. You get movies that in January you won't be able to find just by Googling movies coming up soon. And then when these movies arrive, they arrive by complete surprise, and sometimes they're not great. Sometimes they're ready or not. And it's kind of like how the movie's title itself is speaking to my mentality at the time, because it's like the movie was saying, hey Andrew, I'm coming out this July, ready or not, I'm coming out and you better enjoy me. I saw the trailer for this around my birthday, around early June. I was like, holy crap, how have I not heard of this movie? This looks stellar. This looks like so much fun. A month later, I put my butt in the seat and I watched it, and turns out, yeah, it was all of that fun and more. Ready or Not is a simple horror comedy movie that really doesn't take itself seriously, and that, I think, is where you gotta give it the most credit. It's not trying to be anything other than what it is, a film about people who kill each other in a big old mansion because they apparently have a deal with the devil himself. Samara Weaving kind of came out of nowhere in the past couple of years and became this superstar actress. She absolutely rocked in Ready or Not. Samara Weaving kicks all kinds of ass in this movie, and from start to finish, you are never not rooting for her. Trapped in a giant mansion with a bunch of wasps who just want to kill her because their satanic cult says that's what they have to do, we have to watch this woman, who was supposed to be enjoying her wedding night, tear through this mansion in her wedding dress, carrying shotguns and crossbows and landmines and dodging all kinds of crazy obstacles and crazy people, because everybody in this house wants her dead, including the servants. It is an utter catastrophe in the most wonderful, wonderful sense of the word. The movie we end up with, it never feels cheap, even though it's full of largely actors that we don't really know all that well, and penned and directed by filmmakers and writers that we don't really know all that well. It really is just sort of a smorgasbord of primarily unknown talent, and for a lot of people that can be a red flag. For a lot of people, they can look at that and think, is this for me? I don't know. And now they're talking about deals with the devil, and there's kids saying swear words. Like, is this stupid? Am I watching a stupid movie right now? And in the hands of lesser people, you would probably be right. This would probably end up being a stupid movie. But it's not. It's not a smart movie. It's a splatterfest. But it's a splatterfest with a little bit of heart and soul, and it knows exactly what kind of film it is. By the end, you've been taken for a rock and roll ride, and on that final shot and that final line of dialogue, I don't know about all of you, but all I could do was sit back, clap my hands, and say, Samara Weaving, you're a rock star. I loved this film. I can't wait to see it again. So it only makes sense to me that Ready or Not takes the spot for my number 9 favorite film of the year. Now it's time to give out the Fannie Award for the best hero. This is a category that brings out the brightest, shiniest stars in 2019 cinema, lines them up in a neat little row, and helps us figure out who was the best role model, who touched our hearts and our souls and our minds in the most profound way. This year we had some great nominees. It was a chore to narrow it down to 5, but I narrowed it down to 5 because that's kind of my job. So let's take a look at our 5 nominees for Best Hero. And they are Lance Corporal Schofield and Lance Corporal Blake from 1917. Iron Man from Avengers Endgame. Grace from Ready or Not. Rey from Star Wars Episode 9, The Rise of Skywalker. Woody from Toy Story 4. And the Fannie for Best Hero goes to Iron Man from Avengers Endgame. Even though I promised there wasn't going to be a whole lot of math in the Fannie Awards, Iron Man's nomination and inevitable win really comes down to math when everything is all said and done. Fittingly so, because Tony Stark is kind of a mathematical genius. Here's what I mean by math, kids. If you were 8 years old when the very first Iron Man movie came out, today at Avengers Endgame, you would be roughly 19, maybe 20. Which means you grew up, your childhood, your teenagehood, all of your formative years grew up alongside the Marvel Cinematic Universe with Iron Man, Tony Stark, as its flagship hero. You probably were enchanted by Tony Stark as a kid, and now lo and behold, we get to Avengers Endgame, we get to the end of the Infinity Saga, and sadly, we get to the end of Tony Stark. It was emotional for me watching this scene, and I'm so damn old that I was in my last year of college when Iron Man came out. I can only imagine how heart-wrenching, but at the same time beautifully bittersweet it must have been for somebody who was a kid in 2008 to suddenly watch, as they have spent all these years growing up and living life and going to high school and having relationships and learning what they want and just blossoming into a fully grown human being. And then at the end of it all, when they reach the end of a big stage of their life, when they reach, the end of their teens, probably going off to college, soaring into adulthood, their childhood hero sacrifices his life to save the universe from Thanos, a big purple man with giant muscles. That is powerful stuff. And as much as I loved the other 4 nominees, I couldn't in good conscience give this award to anybody other than Tony Stark / Iron Man for that very simple fact that he is, in every sense of the word, a hero to millions of kids around the world. If you don't believe me, just watch that Ellen DeGeneres show clip where Robert Downey Jr. hosted, and he had an autistic kid on the show who basically his life was saved by looking up to Tony Stark, by looking up to Iron Man, and sort of coming out of his shell due to his fandom for Iron Man in the MCU. It's powerful stuff, and it's real. It's right there. Iron Man is that kid's hero. And that kid wants to be a better person because he wants to be like Iron Man. I'm getting choked up just talking about it. This is freaking beautiful. There is no way in hell anybody else could have won this award. So, Mr. Downey Jr., Mr. Stark, Mr. Man, I think all that's left to say from the bottom of our hearts is thank you for 11 wonderful years of heroics. You said it before, you said it again, and we're saying it now. You are Iron Man. That concludes day 2 of the Fannie Awards. Stick around tomorrow for day 3. I'll be talking about my 8th favorite film of the year. And get ready to twirl those mustaches because I am giving out the award for Best Villain. Everybody is a little bit bad to the bone, but tomorrow's nominees are the baddest to the bonesest. Making up words. It's what I do. See you tomorrow, Fannie friends. The Fannie Awards will be right back.